Hello, everyone. This is Chair Mel Rapozo, along with Vice Chair Kipukai Kualii.
Aloha.
And thank you for joining us today in the Kauai County Council Roundup for our council meeting of April 23rd. Pretty busy agenda items, but we will to talk about the big ones. And I think the first thing, we started off with a public hearing. And that public hearing was about a bill that's going through council right now that will allow basically sunshine markets, farmers markets on
Park facilities.
park facilities and private property park facilities without having to go through the rigorous special use permit process. So we had, I don't know, more than 30 people, I think, show up. The chambers was full for the first time in a long time. And we had a lot of testimony from some
A lot of testimony.
very
A
emotional.
lot of them were wearing the same T-shirts about culture, and basically, I think a lot of them were vendors at the marketplace and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of an important bill that planning, I guess, brought it before us because of complaints from the community, and we've talked about it a little bit before. But it's the bill that would allow these farmers markets and craft vendors and other vendors in our public parks, and there's got to be a little bit of a balance. So I think it's an important bill that we'll work on carefully, and of course take into consideration all the testimony. The testimony was overwhelmingly in support of putting something in place so that they can operate legally. It was kind of sad stories, some of them too, because they were saying how they were very successful and that not being able to do it is really affecting them right now. So
Yeah, the majority of the people that testified were actually vendors out at the Princeville market, which was shut down by the planning department because they did not have a use permit. And this bill will allow that markets to occur without a use permit. However, there will still be restrictions and requirements from the property owner, whether it's private property or on a county park. There were, I think, 3 testimonies that were in opposition.
and they're very valid too.
Yeah, because I think one example was the Wailu House Lots Park, which happens to be where I live. That when you bring these markets in, and if it's happening frequently, and I think as Mr. Kualii talked about size and frequency, you can really disrupt the neighborhood. And
Parking, traffic,
Correct.
all those things that if
So-
you just live there, it's kind of disruption.
yeah, so this bill will go to the committee on May 7th, and the council will hash out all the components to make sure that there is that balance that Mr. Kipukai Kualii talks about. So it was a very productive public hearing. I think, again, we haven't seen that many people in our chambers for a long time. So very
Yep.
emotional, passionate issue. And, some of those vendors, that is their only source of income. And when their market got shut down in Princeville, their income ended. So
Someone talked about how they go to other markets as well, but that the Princeville market turns out to be their most successful, where they make the most business, I guess. And it probably started off as a small thing, and then it grew, and then you get to the point. So I think, again, like we're talking about size, frequency, location. The Princeville market obviously is kind of on the edge of the actual community where people live and reside, and immediately adjacent to the market there,
Princeville Center.
the Princeville Center. So I mean, it kind of makes sense there, but also how much of the park is being used, right? Because the park is primarily intended for people's use, right? Recreation. So that has to still be the primary purpose.
And then for me, again, I won't support a bill that doesn't specifically require these products or services
absolutely.
that are locally made. That for me, that's
And most of the testifiers were very adamant about the quality and the local made, and
Yeah.
how they actually have a long list of people wanting to get in on the market, and so they're very selective on the quality of vendors that they allow in there, and they absolutely want Kauai grown, Kauai made, quality,
and
culture.
they self-regulate.
Yeah.
And but again, this bill is not only specifically targeted for
Yeah,
Princeville.
it's for
It
the
is
whole
for
island.
all, and not all markets are managed as well
well
as
as-
Princeville is. So anyway, that again will be in our committee meeting on May 7th. We had a bunch of things. Again, we'll just highlight the bigger items. We did approve a grant, or actually it's a reallocation of funds from the State of Hawaii Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division, which also known as ADAD. They have a state opioid response fund. Funding was cut, and from the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act, those funds got cut, so we had to basically move money from the ADAD funds over to continue to pay our personnel. That is in the
Prevention Services Specialist, right?
correct.
That's a
So
position.
that obviously was a no-brainer. We did pass that. We had a bunch of resolutions, and I think some critical resolutions we wanted to spend some time on. First one was finalizing the appointment of Clyde Kodani to the Board of Water Supply. That was, Clyde's going to be a great asset. He's an
Easy,
engineer.
solid choice.
Yeah, and so he got officially confirmed yesterday. There was also what is called our State Water Pollution Control Revolving Fund. It's a fund that is available to the counties from the state, and it is a revolving fund. It's basically a loan program, and we had approved a loan in amount not to exceed $4.5 million back in 2024, based on the condition of our wastewater plants and one pumping station in particular. We had to amend that to up to $10 million because the costs to repair that plant or that pump station is rising. So that was approved as well. And then this one here, I hope people pay attention because this is going to be a pretty big change up for those of you up in the Kapahi area. We all know Olohena Road, the road that goes from Kapa'a Town up to Kapa'a Middle School and all the way up to Kapahi Park, up to the homesteads. Typically or traditionally, right now, the stop sign is actually on Ka'apuni Road.
Yep.
And this resolution, our Public Works and our engineers all got together and decided for safety purposes, we need to realign that road a little bit and move the stop sign and put the stop sign on Olohena. So now the through street, the road that goes through Kapahi or up to Kapahi will be from Olohena to Ka'apuni,
Continuing on, right?
all the way up.
It's probably what you always thought it should have been
Yeah.
because when you're going up Olohena and then you turn down to go continue on Olohena, it's kind of a turn, right? It swerves to the left. And the people up coming down from Kaupuni have to stop to allow you to do that. Well, now it's just going to be straight through, so up and down. So the stop will be when you're coming up Olohena to take a right on Olohena.
No, you're right. But again, it's kind of over the years, as long as I've been on a council, the residents that use
Many
that road
years,
a
right?
lot, decades, have been saying, why don't you put the stop sign on Olohena and make Ka'apuni as the natural flow? It took us decades, but it's being done. There's going to be a period of time where you're going to see a lot of signs and some notices, but I wanted to make sure.
Lots of warning.
Yeah,
lots of
because
that.
it's going to be a change, and everyone that comes up Olahena have not had that stop sign. Now they will. So you make sure we pay attention to the road. It's going to make a better flow for traffic, but it's going to, obviously going to take some change. So, yeah, be careful. Councilmember Fern Holland introduced a resolution opposing the increase in shipping costs proposed by Young Brothers. I think most of you know that Young Brothers is petitioning the Public Utilities Commission to increase their rates. It's a pretty significant increase, anywhere from 20% up into, I believe one of the categories can go up to 74%. In addition to that, they're requesting temporary or immediate temporary relief of 20% and the ability to raise their rates up to 5% per year. So the resolution basically was showing the council's opposition to this, and this resolution will go to the PUC. There wasn't much discussion on the item, but it did pass with a 6-1 vote. Councilmember Cowden did not support the resolution for her reasons that she talked about, but the other 6 members did and believe that it'll be detrimental to our people, our residents here, to increase any costs of any item. And we rely 85% of our items that we use on this island is shipped in, and most of that comes through Young Brothers. So any increases in shipping is going to cost our residents, and the council, by approving this resolution yesterday, is saying no. We need to figure a better way to make your ends meet, young brothers, and it passed.
I remember you, Chair, making a pretty strong case too when you're saying it's not even necessarily about new cars coming in, but about the day-to-day groceries, right? So even all the groceries that get delivered to our stores come in this way, and prices would go up on all of our groceries. So
Yeah, and I made
affects
that point
everyone.
because that's the common response is like, gosh, it's going to cost another 100 or 200 bucks to ship a car to Kauai. I'm thinking, why are we worried about the car? What about our milk and our cheese and our eggs and our bread and everything, our food, things that we got to eat to stay alive. That is more of a concern to me than the price of a car. Like I said, buy a used car. Used cars
On
don't have
island
shipping.
already.
Yep, buy a used car here. A lot of people selling the used cars. Buy a used car. You're not going to be impacted by the shipping cost, but you don't have that ability to buy all of your needs without having it shipped in. So,
Toilet paper.
oh my gosh, I'm glad you didn't bring that up yesterday because I probably would have been even louder. But yeah, so I think a possible solution would be asking the state, because this is a statewide issue, asking the state to maybe provide some relief in the general excise taxes or other charges at the state, harbor fees, have them reduce their fees temporarily to provide the necessary fiscal assistance that they need. But to just automatically say, no, we're going to charge the residents. Listen, if you don't know this by now, then you haven't been paying attention. There are many families in our state that cannot afford anymore any extra expenses. That is a fact. And I don't care if it's an extra dollar or two or whatever it may be, some people are tapped out. And I think we got to think about those people. So anyway,
Absolutely.
we did have 4 more bills. We had 4 more.
The 4 bills that we talked about the last couple of meetings too, because it got out of committee last week, and it's finalized for second reading here at the full council. The 4 bills having to do with the 15 acres of land in just south of our Lima Ola development in Ele, and the need to update the State Land Use District, the general plan, the zoning map, and the West Kauai Community Plan, so that the additional development can happen that Kauai Habitat is doing. So a lot more affordable housing.
Yay, Habitat.
Absolutely.
Doing a great job. So with that, again, folks, if you want to watch any of what we just talked about, the public hearing was very intense. I think you guys would enjoy watching that and listening to the stories of these local families and that have been at the markets, as well as the discussion on Young Brothers. You can watch it on Hawaii Channel 53. That's always available on their website, hawaii.org. Or you can watch it on our county website, www.kauai.gov. Hit the webcast meetings button. You can watch any of our meetings. It's all archived. And as of a month ago, Hawaii is now broadcasting our council meetings live on YouTube. Just go to Hawaii's YouTube channel, and you can watch the meetings live, or you can watch any of the previous meetings that they have on their channel since they started broadcasting live on YouTube. So, anything else, sir?
Nope, just mahalo Hawaii, and mahalo Roger, and mahalo Olivia, who's there every day.
Yeah, we appreciate Hawaii,
meeting.
guys. Hawaii.org. Check it out. Download their app. Big things happening for Hawaii. We appreciate them tremendously. So until next time, ahui ho, folks. Aloha. God bless.
Aloha.